I'm ready to splash and burn.
No quarter. I am going to be uncomfortable and all over you from start to finish.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. And today is a very special episode, not only because I am fortunate to be joined by someone who has been a personal hero to me for a large portion of my life, but we get to talk about something that I think we are both really passionate about, which is getting more young folks interested in STEM, specifically with the National STEM Challenge. So please welcome to the show the amazing Kari Byron.
Thank you. What an incredible introduction. Yes, I'm super excited to talk about the National STEM Challenge. We just jump right in.
Let's jump right into it. This is the first one ever. So, tell me a little bit more about it.
So the National STEM Challenge is a nationwide challenge that includes all 50 states, the territories, the BIE and DoD schools. Every single kid in America is invited to this challenge. We are asking them to ideate, invent, innovate projects that will make the world a better place, either improve your community or improve something on the planet. It's basically anything that's going to have a positive impact. These are projects that are science fair style projects. The kids can submit the project starting October 4th. So we're giving them a bunch of time to figure out what they want it to be. Then the submissions start October 4th at the nationalstemchallenge.com. That's where they can submit.
Very exciting. And from my understanding, this is for middle school and high school students, grades 6 through 12, that can enter.
Absolutely. Middle school and high schoolers is such an incredible age because they solve problems like we did on Mythbusters. There is no boundaries to their creativity. So it's just this unrestricted, amazing problem solving that they have. So I'm really, really excited to see what they come up with. And the top scorers are going to be invited and flown with a caretaker to Washington, D.C. in April 12th and 13th. We're going to have a festival that will be hosted by us, EXPLR, and the Department of Education. And it's going to be this incredible weekend of STEM events. Kids are going to have like an expo where they show off all of their projects. And even cooler, they all get to be at roundtables with thought leaders, leaders in STEM industry, politicians. They can sit around with other stakeholders and talk about the future of our nation.
That is awesome. And I think the one thing that I really love about this is because you mentioned that it's science fair-esque, but it's really more about coming up with creative solutions to, real problems potentially and doing things that could change the world. I mean, that's what's really exciting to me.
We've got 6 different categories that are really places where we need a lot of problem solving. It's environmental stewardship, future of foods, health and medicine, powering the planet, space innovation, and tech for good. So these are all places where I think we can come up with really, really great projects.
It's a pretty big window for submitting, these submissions, October 4th through November 12th. So that gives, I think, the students plenty of time to innovate and come up with some really unique ideas to submit to this and kind of get those creative juices flowing.
I just really want to get the word out because it's not just schools, it's anything that has a STEM education. So we're talking museum groups, after school programs, first robotics, Black Girls Code. Like, think of anything where they're doing STEM education. We want kids to put projects in homeschools, public schools, private schools. It's really just every single kid because we don't know where genius resides. There's no borders for this kind of thing. So we just want every single kid to understand that they have the opportunity to be a part of the National STEM Challenge.
Exactly. Now I'm really curious, because I always like to tie in the personal story. I mean, obviously this is meaningful to you and you've been doing this for a long time. One of my favorite things that I think I've ever seen is that how you call yourself a curiosity communicator. Like, I just love that term so much. And, what was it for you when you were, younger and first getting into this that made you want to get into STEM?
It was kind of an accident. because I grew up really wanting to be an artist. I really like being creative. I like taking an idea and creating something that is fostering creativity and you end up with something tangible. I didn't understand when I was young that that is science, you know? So stuff like this really speaks to the 13-year-old me that thought art was the end all of curiosity. But I came a little late to STEM. Uh, when I was on Mythbusters, we were doing all of this experimenting, and the perfect narrative vehicle really was the scientific method. So all of a sudden, we were doing these incredible projects, and we started being used in classrooms as examples of critical thinking and physics and chemistry. And it blew my mind. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm doing science. I'm doing engineering. I'm doing all of these incredible things that I didn't understand. But once I got my hands dirty and created science the way I had always created art, just very experientially, that's when I understood, oh man, STEM is for everybody, even the arty kid that I used to be. So I really loved how Mythbusters was used in the classroom, and that's when I decided to kind of detour my life. That show's way long over, but I really wanted to take what I learned from that and put it into my current career. Now, EXPLR is the streaming platform that I'm a founder of with Jenny Buccos and Andrew Zimmern. You might know him from a million TV shows like What's Eating America, Bizarre Foods. We have an educational streaming service that creates under 10-minute videos that inspire and educate, but also come with standard aligned curriculum for the classroom. So we are kind of the perfect partners with the Department of Education to create a festival that's more accessible, because not only is it going to be that physical event in April, but we're also creating a year-long digital campaign so that these projects will be elevated. And a kid in Minnesota might have an idea that inspires a kid in New York or California or Hawaii or Alaska. We really just are creating a STEM community.
That's wonderful. And it's so interesting, how you mentioned about the tie-in between art and science, because so many people that I've talked to that have gone into this STEM, type of area have come from a place of art, because they really do mesh. And I think for a long time, I didn't get that either, until I really started diving into building and making and things like that, and seeing, that's a truly creative process. And you're not only creating something that's, pleasing to look at necessarily, but also functional in a lot of ways, especially with, robotics and all kinds of other things. So I think it's an amazing vehicle to get people interested into something that maybe they didn't even know that they were interested in.
I mean, you're in the maker space. You know makers. Like it's so fun to see that crossover where, so much engineering goes into art and so much art goes into engineering. It's such a cool place to be. And I feel like a lot of scientists hang out with artists. That's just how it rolls.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the interesting thing, and why I think that this challenge is so important, is that I found typically with anything science related, a lot of times people don't get into it because they don't think that they can do it. They don't think that they're capable. And that's one thing, like, I've noticed from having a child of my own that is, wanting to get into these things, that she develops these confidence issues. And it came to a point where, like, I had always told myself I couldn't do this. And I'm like, I don't want to tell her that I can't do this, because if she thinks I can't do this, then she's going to doubt that she can do it. And so there's no I can't in my vocabulary at this point, because it's just so important to like have that belief that, yes, if you have the desire and you have the drive, you can do amazing things.
Isn't it funny how when you become the role model, it's almost like you're gonna try harder because you want to show them that, like, you want to show them that failure is an opportunity. You want to show them that being scared is bravery. It's when you do it anyway. Like there's all of these things that kind of motivate you once you become in that position, because you really want to help the person that you were. And I mean, for me, I've had so many little girls that became women that came up to me, and we would hug with tears. They said, I'm an engineer because I saw you doing it. And it made me understand how important representation is, for them to see me as one of, the only hosts doing science on Discovery Channel. And it was a long running show, and there really weren't a lot of us. And so for me to actually be able to be that person for a little girl became incredibly motivational. It's one of the reasons that I am so excited about this festival, because if we can be the catalyst for just one kid to come up with one solution, or show them that they are on the right track and they are important, give them that confidence, I really believe that the positive reinforcement is going to be huge in their lives.
100%. And that's a great place to jump into kind of the representation and diversity aspect of this, because it's a massive opportunity to kind of foster that. I mean, I know that when you're looking at underrepresentation, with certain groups in STEM workforce and, all of that, like, it's gotten better for sure, but there's still so much opportunity to do even better than that. And again, I can speak to like my childhood, and I think a big reason when I was, in junior high school, the same age as the kids that would be competing in this challenge, I didn't see STEM as something that was for me, because I didn't see anyone who looked like me doing it. And so I was like, well, I guess, that's really not something I should do. I should do this thing that like other women are doing. So I think it's so important for that visibility and people to see like women are doing this. It doesn't matter what your racial background is. Like, if you want to do it, you can do it.
It's also geographical to me. I mean, I feel like there's a reason that we picked 24 STEM ambassadors to they're all STEM influencers, big in their field, but they're from all over the country. We want to represent the voices that kids can see in themselves, so that they recognize themselves in one of our STEM ambassadors. Like, yes, I live in West Virginia. They came from West Virginia. I can do this. I love that the representation is so important, and it's really, really reflected in how we're presenting this festival.
It's interesting that you brought up about that geographic aspect of it too, because that's something else that I have found, at least in the STEM things that I've been involved in, that there's heavy representation on the coasts. And there's not a lot in between, like here in the Midwest, it's just really uncommon. Maybe if you go into Chicago or something, there's more of a technology space, but outside of that, I mean, there's really not a lot. And so kids just don't, they don't know about it. And I think that's half the battle, is like letting them know that there are these opportunities and these things that they can be doing, and that makes them more interested and want to get involved.
I mean, I just came from a conference, a tech conference that was in St. Paul. And really, I saw so many engineers and scientists and talked to so many people. This is STEM jobs are everywhere. I mean, it affects everything that we do, everything that we touch, the phone that we're holding on to, the way the food gets to our plate and how it's stored in the grocery store. That is STEM. I mean, drones being used to look over agriculture. That is STEM. I don't care where you are and what you're doing, you are affected. Health and medicine, that affects all of us. It's incredible when we actually expand the idea in our minds about what a STEM job is. The Secretary of Education went to a trade school to become a mechanic, and we had this incredible conversation about, that's a STEM job. I mean, race car drivers have engineers surrounding them. Those are all science jobs. Like, this is something that I think needs to be communicated better, that STEM is more than just what you might think of as like an old dude in a lab coat. That's not what STEM is. STEM is creativity, it's problem solving, it's critical thinking. It affects us in so many ways. There are people who have STEM jobs who are in PR. It's everywhere and it's everything. Do I sound excited? I come fast when I sound excited.
It's a very good point, though. I mean, there's so many misunderstandings, and I think this is a big one of like what a career in that field can be. I like even with doing this podcast, I mean, it's not a career. I wish it was, but it's still like it's being involved in that community and spreading awareness and, letting people know like, hey, these are cool things that people are doing and like, you should get involved. So there's many ways that you can be involved and kind of like spread that like creativity and that desire to like do something more.
All of our social media, which it's National STEM Challenge social media. You can follow me to find it. If you can go Google it so that you can find all the Instagram, the Twitters, we're on everything. But we're constantly posting inspiration videos about what STEM looks like and inspiration for different projects that kids can have and jobs that people have that are actually STEM. So if you follow us all on social media, you can kind of get an idea of the way that we're trying to communicate that STEM is so much larger than we originally have presented it to the people.
Absolutely. And I kind of want to circle back because, we've talked a lot about the National STEM Challenge and, the details of, what it is and how people can sign up for it. But I'm curious to get a little bit of background on like the creation of it, and kind of how it all came together in the first place, because I mean, it is the first one, hopefully many more. And so I would be very excited to hear, how it came to be.
Absolutely. So I at one point was the South by Southwest live studio, and I got to talk to the Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, and we were kind of just talking science fairs because I've been a part of so many different science fairs and festivals over the years. But at one point, I hosted one with Bill Nye at a science fair at the White House. And I remember how impactful it was for me, not because the president said my name in a press conference in front of my mom that she brings up continually to this day, but because the kids I met, I continue to follow them. They went on to have incredible careers and become incredible people. And the projects that they had presented were just mind blowing to me. And it wasn't just the typical genius kids that you see shopped around at every festival. It was kids from all over the place doing things that were really, really creative. So I had been kind of bugging him. I'm like, hey, when's the science fair going to be there? Because I want to host it again. Because they haven't had a festival, a fair, or a maker fair or anything for a really long time because, it's, because of COVID or one reason or another. I just kind of had this lightning moment where I thought about how cool it could be. And I offered to produce it with EXPLR. And I was very, very persistent, probably annoyingly so to his staff. And he gave us the opportunity to pitch what our idea was. And they were kind of blown away by the way that we wanted to make it both just a festival, which a lot of festivals happen, but we wanted to really expand it with our digital presence so that we could make it more accessible and more nationwide and make it something that people can participate in no matter where they are, even if they aren't one of the kids that gets flown to DC. We are offering mini grants for up to 100 of them for STEM adjacent festivals in local communities. We are offering up a way for you to nominate a teacher to get flown to the festival. We are asking for volunteers in STEM industries to help be reviewers so that these kids can get real-time feedback on their projects. Because I imagine you're doing something in technology and there is a reviewer that's actually a working scientist that's getting back to you about your project. It's not like it's just going into the ether. You're communicating with people who are in the field doing the jobs. So there's really a way for everybody to participate: corporations, individuals, parents, teachers, educators, and kids. I think I just went on a roll right there, but I really got excited about how we could make this so much bigger than just a weekend. It really is for us a continuing celebration of all things STEM.
I think that is amazing. I mean, especially to give people ways to be involved that don't necessarily get chosen to go. I mean, that's obviously an amazing opportunity for those who do get chosen, but everybody still has a way to connect and be a part of this. And like, I think that's going to do really so much for the field.
I mean, I've been to a lot of high school and middle school science fairs, and it's really exciting to host and be a part of. So I really invite people to find the kids that are doing these sort of projects and make something happen in your own community, maybe at your science museum, maybe at your local high school, maybe at your local library. Like it really is a great way to just give positive reinforcement to kids. I mean, I know that when my kid comes home and she's like, oh my God, Mr. Payton, he made me feel so smart today. And I can just see how when she's seen, she tries harder. And I see that with my nieces, my nephews, kids that I talk to. I spend a lot of time with kids, and when they feel seen and heard and respected, they try harder. It becomes more of who they are and what they want to be. So we're hoping to do that on a grand scale.
I agree with that 1,000%. I mean, I really think that like for most of us as human beings, I think we feel better when we're seen and recognized and things like that. It makes us want to keep doing more of whatever it is that we're being seen for. So I feel that completely. Now I understand that you're still open to organizations who would like to help sponsor the festival as well. So I think that's important to like get the word out there, like, hey, if you're an organization, you can definitely be a part of this.
Oh yeah, there's all sorts of ways to participate. We tie in the word STEM to everything. We've got our STEM ambassadors. We've got our STEM packed participants. Like if you're a corporation and you want to sponsor, like there's still so many ways to get involved because this is currently being created and built for the end result as well as the challenge itself.
I was also curious too, that there's obviously this challenge coming up. I mean, hopefully it's a great success and we have more and more of these every year. Is there anything else, in particular in the works for EXPLR as far as other initiatives and things like that you're trying to, work on?
Well, EXPLR isn't just the festival. We are a streaming service, so we are constantly putting out new content. We are always in production with new shows, and we're getting out to all the schools. So it's an incredible opportunity if you want to look at some STEM content. It's got curriculum for teachers that's already standard aligned. So we cut down on the teacher prep time. You can show a short video that shows you the real world relevant and relatable content that helps you understand how these different educational fields are important in your life. And then it comes with discussion points. So it's really just it's a little assist to teachers. So EXPLR is not just doing the National STEM Festival and the National STEM Challenge. We are constantly just creating more and more content. So come check us out.
Yes, absolutely. If you are a teacher, here is a great resource that you can share with your students. I think that it's fantastic. I mean, because I think in today's world, it's just different than it was, back when you and I were probably kids. I don't think we had the same level of resources or the same like engagement opportunities. And I think kids today, everything's so digital and everything's so online that's the way that kids tend to learn the best because that's what they relate to. And so having that content, I think gives kids an opportunity to be engaged in a way that maybe they wouldn't otherwise.
I mean, I feel like we've always had some sort of digital content that I used to watch like Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom or or PBS or Sesame Street. Like there's always been there. The power of it, I think, is what we're really just discovering is like how we can actually reach more people with the content. I've done a lot of talks where you're in a rowdy room with rowdy kids or rowdy adults. You turn on the video, quiet. They watch, they engage. Even the rowdiest of rowdy high school kids quiets down and watches the video. It's such an incredible power. And when it's something that's good content with scientists and engineers and mathematicians giving them the show, like they're ingesting that. It's like how I like to think of cheese sauce on broccoli. Like you don't even know you're eating vegetables. You're just getting some nutrients. Like that's what digital storytelling can do. I think that's why it makes me so excited. And it's something that we've just always done well because between me and Andrew and Jenny, we have over 60 years of experience in factual programming. So we know how to present it in really highly produced ways that make it more like a TV show than just one of the films you and I probably watched in school.
Exactly. It's really all about the delivery in a lot of these cases. And you know, I think that like the shows that you've been a part of, I think, present science and STEM in such an engaging way. And I think that that's what people want to see. You know, that's what people are going to tune into. So I think that that's amazing. And I'm also curious. This is just like a bonus question I'm throwing out there, but you know, in your time being involved with STEM, you know, who are some specific people that have been inspirational to you? You know, that just, you know, made you say, hey, like, that's cool, or, you know, whatever you're doing is really interesting and I want to know more.
Oh my God, there have been so many people, but there have definitely been some pivotal people for me. I think mentors are really important, whether you can find them online on something you watch or in person. But there was the head of the Science Channel back when Mythbusters had ended. Her name was Debbie Myers, and she was such an advocate for getting people like me and representing people on her channel that could be communicators. She was so good at fostering talent that I looked at what she was doing and I kind of took that in, and now that's how I'm paying it forward. Is I am trying to foster new talent and help elevate underserved voices now. For me, it's sort of a mission to find all the people who are already out there making content and bring them into the platform or bring them into the festival and be a conduit for them to get out to the world. So, I mean, we have a lot of STEM ambassadors like Danielle Boyer and Justin Schaefer and all these incredible people that have such cool audiences and are such incredible science communicators. And I just really want to see them do more. So I am taking my role model, which was Debbie, who fostered talent, and I'm trying to emulate that in my career now.
That's amazing. I mean, you certainly do a wonderful job. So, well, that's great. Yeah, and just, you know, anybody that's interested in this, like, please make sure if you are eligible, put a project together, sign up for it. You never know. You know, if you have something creative and you know that could potentially make a difference, like absolutely submit it. You know, I think everybody wants to see what these young people can come up with. And of course, for teachers, you know, share the information as well. And anybody who wants to get involved, volunteer, sponsor, please make sure that you do that. But I'm really excited to kind of follow this, honestly, and see how it all plays out and see what these kids come up with.
And if anybody needs inspiration or to see what kind of projects might be in the works for other people, go check out nationalstemchallenge.com. Check out our social media. We're putting up videos every day and putting out STEM ambassadors every day that can give you some sort of direction and inspiration into the kind of things that might make the world a better place.
Thank you so much to my amazing guest, Kari Byron. I look forward to seeing all of the wonderful things Explore Media is doing, including the National STEM Challenge. Support this event in any way you can. Keep supporting STEM. Like this video, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff. Good luck to the amazing young people that will be involved in this, and we will see everyone next time on the show.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to help me get the word out.